Yo, what is going on, everyone? It is Wraith here, back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about how you guys can get to champions as easily as possible. Now, the last video I did similar to this was how to win arena games. This is going to be completely different. This will be going towards each specific individual who watches my video. Some of you guys might play a little bit different, more aggressive, some might play a little bit more passive, so I'll be talking and giving tips for every single type of player. So trust me, this will help you guys out no matter what skill level or what type of style of player you are. If you're looking forward to this video, make sure you slap a like button on it, hit that subscribe button, and let's get right into it. So I'm going to be doing a little bit different for this video. I'm going to be breaking it into three different categories: early game, mid game, and end game, which is basically the three main parts of the game. And I'll be giving tips for each kind of thing, that each early game, mid game, and end game. And basically, yeah, I'll leave some timestamps in the description so you guys can just see really easily. But let's start off with early game. So the main reason people die off in early game or struggle with early game is, one, is there's too much RNG, so you don't get good enough mats, you don't get good enough weapons, and you just end up dying to people who are worse than you. The next would be third parties, and then the other third one I would say would be just not having enough mats. Like, you could be the best player in the world, but if you don't have enough mats or a solid gun, or there's too many people there, someone who's playing on an iPhone or a Nintendo Switch could absolutely destroy you with ease. So figuring out those three things are gonna help your early game so much and help you survive and actually flourish a lot more off early game. So basically, to counter this, is the best way is, I would say, having a solid landing spot with good mats and good loot. And then once you find the spot, you need to actually practice dropping there over and over again, so you know exactly where to jump from each different variation of the battle bus, so you can hit your desired location. So for example, if you're landing Craigie, you need to know exactly where to jump from all different buses to land on your white caps that you normally land at, or land at main building, or wherever you decide to land. You should have the exact same place almost every single time. Also, another thing is, if you struggle off spawn, try and avoid main places like Lazy, the new POIs, or Pleasant, or places like that, just because there's going to be so many people landing there who think they're absolutely unbelievable, or maybe who are just practicing W keying and trying to get a little bit better. So try and avoid those main spots, because you're just going to deal with more RNG. You're not going to be able to loot up, you're not going to be able to farm up mats. Like, you're just going to probably die or be in a really bad fight, just because there's so many people there, and you're going to have less opportunity to get good loot, get good mats, and then get ready for a fight. So then basically, once you figure out a landing location, like I said, you're going to want to choose a specific spot you're going to keep hitting, whether it be a specific house wherever you're landing or a specific spot. Try and go the same place every single time. That way you know exactly the fastest route possible inside that house or wherever you're landing. You know what has the most materials for brick, metal, and wood, so you can farm up way quicker than everyone else who just lands there occasionally. You know exactly where the floor loot spawn is, the ammo crates, everything like that. By landing the same spot every single time, you're going to have a really good rotation early game, and figuring out the best way to kind of farm up. So basically, if you just land somewhere you've never landed before, or you don't know that well, you're going to struggle getting as much mats and knowing the floor loot spawns and going as quick as possible. So actually making sure you're landing there a couple times and working on that landing spot is going to be so important to make sure you're thriving and doing well early game. And then the last part of early game is figuring out if you want to fight or not. And honestly, that's up to you. I can't really say it for each situation. A couple tips I would say is, if you aren't the best at fighting and you're like more of an end game, mid game type of player, I would say try and avoid fights. If you're trying to get better at early game and trying to get better at fighting early game, then it's a little bit of a different story. I would say just take the fight. But basically, it kind of, again, depends on your loot and your mats. If you have good loot, if you have good mats, don't be afraid to take a fight, because getting that extra kill in tournaments, or even, like I said, in this arena, getting those extra points are going to stack up. If you get a kill early game every single game, they're going to start stacking up over and over again. So if you have good loot, have good mats, and you feel somewhat confident, I would say push, try and get the first shot on, try and like go somewhere that are not expecting it, and then get a good shot on their opponent. If you're not that confident and you don't have the greatest loot, I would say even if you're a good early game player, it's just not worth it. If you're trying to get to champions as quick as possible and trying to get there before your friends do or your other people do, you're just trying to get as many points as possible, I would definitely recommend not taking the fight if you don't have good loot, just because you never know. Like if you don't even have a shotgun or you have no shield or low mats, the other person could have literally 200 HP, could have a purple pump for all you know. They just farmed up really quickly and upgraded their gun, and like you're most likely going to lose the fight, right? So I just wouldn't recommend fighting unless you're very confident, you're trying to improve, or you have the upper advantage. So for mid game, this is where it really gets different depending on your type of playstyle and what kind of player you are. So I would say there's three main type of playstyles. There's aggressive, there's passive, and then there's hybrid players. And I'm going to break down each kind of style for each player and what I recommend doing. So first off, I'm going to say aggressive players. So basically, normally these type of players hit champions and do well by W keying with the odd end game. Like basically they're going for 6, 5, 7 kills per game. The odd win, the odd 10 kill game. So for these type of players, rotating through highly contested areas are going to be the play. Like that's what you're going to want to do. So for example, if you W key a lot and you really enjoy W keying, that's how you get your kills, that's how you do well in tournaments, that's how you get points in arena. Rotating through highly like landed spots, so for example Pleasant, Misty, like things like that, Bony Burbs, those are going to be places you're going to want to rotate to pick up some kills, because people will just be ended up farming or just finished farming, just finished fighting and stuff like that. So hopefully they're weak. If not, if you kill them, you're going to get some good loot, good mats. So for example, let's go back with the Craigie. So let's say you land Craigie. What I would do after rotating is leave Craigie, then go towards Pleasant Park, try and pick up some kills from people who just finished fighting or looting in Pleasant, and then after that I would go to like Bony Burbs, and again same thing, try and pick up some kills, try and find some people. If not, worst case, you're gonna find some loot, you're gonna find some things that people left behind, so you can still farm up, get some good loot. Don't negate farming, don't negate looting. Like again, same with early game. If you have bad loot, have bad mats, focus on that first. If you're really trying to get to champions, in my opinion, it's not the best play ever to just W key with bad loot, bad mats. I would say just focus on that in the time being. But yeah, going towards these main POIs are going to help you pick up a lot of more kills, and yeah, get a couple more kills, which will get you more points in total. So the next one would be passive. So these are more keen towards players who are like just like playing for end game, maybe get 2 to 3 kills, and then try and get the win, or try and just get as many points for surviving as possible. So basically for these guys, you're going to want to do the opposite of what I said for aggressive. So stay away from the main POIs. Like don't go near Pleasant, don't go near Bony Burbs or like Misty or Lazy or places like that. Just try and avoid them. Like stay on the edge of circle. I'm not saying you have to like go camp places like that, but staying and avoiding the main POIs are going to help you stay away from people and hopefully getting less fights. I'm not saying don't take fights if you're a passive player, but you definitely don't want to go out of your way to try and take on as many fights as possible, because if you play more end game and you play more mid game, fighting mid game just a ton isn't going to help you that much, especially because of things like third party zone, things like that are going to really like sewer you a lot. So in my opinion, if you're a passive player, sure, take the odd fight here or there, but just avoid the main POIs, because even if you go into Pleasant and fight someone, there's a high chance after you kill them, someone else is going to rotate onto you, or someone else could rotate onto you during the fight. So if you're more of a passive player, just kind of stay away from those main POIs. So now the third type of style I would say is like kind of the hybrid style, where you do a little bit of both. You're a little bit of a W keyer while you're a little bit of a passive player. Like you just like getting the odd kill here or there, but you also like playing for endgame. So for this, you can kind of do whatever you want. Like you're a little bit more open towards things. So you can kind of play whatever play style you want. In my opinion, I would say take good fights. Like if you're W keying, a lot of people will take like a little bit more fights they shouldn't, just because they're trying to go for kills, they're trying to get as many kills as possible, so they might take a little bit bad fights. But in my opinion, if you're just playing a little bit of the hybrid role, take solid fights. If there's a third party opportunity, take the third party and try and get a pickup kill. If you see someone rotate in front of you and they don't see you, try and get 100 damage shots on them. Like, try and shoot them with your AR, get 100 damage, and then push. Like, take fights that are in your advantage, because if you take fights that aren't in your advantage, you're most likely going to die. So in my opinion, just take fights that are in your advantage. That's basically all I can really say for hybrid players. So now going into endgame, there's like 3 main things I would recommend for endgame, and this is for all type of players. Like, basically your style doesn't really matter in endgame, but one would be like rotating as early as possible and try and avoid box fighting people. So the reason for that is because if you get caught rotating late, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have been in this situation and know what I'm talking about, is if you're rotating in late and you're like one of the last people to rotate into, you're going to get absolutely demolished by the other opponents. Like, they're just going to be, if they're already boxed up on the far side of zone, they're just going to be spraying you the entire time. You're going to burn through your mats, so even if you survive, you're going to have low mats, low HP, you're not going to be doing that well. So rotating as early as possible to get on that side is going to help you save a lot more mats, is going to help you maybe pick up a couple kills on those late rotators, and just be in a better position overall. And the same thing goes for box fighting. If you're fighting someone and it's like box fighting or build fighting endgame and there's a couple more people, you're most likely going to be shot at, you're going to be sprayed at, because people are going to be thinking you guys are both weak. They're going to be trying to pick up a couple kills. So in my opinion, just try and avoid like close range fighting. Like, just try and get some AR sprays, get some kills. And the same thing goes for you. If you're already rotated and people are box fighting, spray at them, try and get some kills, try and pick up some free points. And then the last best tip I can give you, and I struggled with this for so long, is don't be scared to use your mats. Like, don't just save your mats for the last minute. Like, I know for me, I would farm up the mats and just be like, okay, I'm going to use it the last rotating zone, and then I would try and play a little bit too passive without using my mats, and I just get head dinked or sprayed completely or just killed because I wasn't using my mats. So use your mats. If you run out, you run out. You can either try and W key and pick up a kill and get their mats, or even if then you survived up until then, so you're still in a good position, right? So just use your mats. Don't be afraid not to. So many people die because they're trying to hold on to your mats, and I just wouldn't recommend it. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, make sure you slap a like button on it, hit that subscribe button, use creator code WraithFN in the item shop, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.